I think we all have goals in life, and um, we don't know when we're actually going to get there. But that time is almost like none of our business. The only business that we have is to do the work and to use trust and faith in ourselves, in others, but mainly in ourselves to attain that goal. So always being in gratitude is so important because despite not having our wish fulfilled yet, I am complete, in gratitude for what I have in front of me right now and the basic things I'm talking about. So that's super important to put yourself in that state every single day. And then, being intentional about how I'm going about my day, whether that's directly related to the goals that I have or just in order to be a better person, a better partner, a better business person, whatever that might be, um, a kinder person, like pick whatever intention you have so that you're not just like dishonesty, disrespectful, discrimination, detached, dismissive. That's it. I'm done. Relationships can be messy. Are you having trouble with your personal or professional relationship? Not to worry. As a relationship therapist and coach for over 25 years, I have a lot to share, and so will my guest experts. Let's get smarter in our business and personal lives so we can be our best selves. Now, let's get on with the show. Welcome to episode 17 of Mixing Business with Pleasure podcast. It's been a while since I've been on here speaking. Well, I like to think to myself because obviously there's no one out in front of me right now. I'm speaking into a computer. But yeah, it's been some time. I don't know why I didn't come on earlier, but I had a, pretty cool list of guests that I wanted to have on. And as you see, there's been a fair number of women in business, women founding businesses, women investing in businesses. But there's no, preference. I have either interviewing women or men. It's just whoever I come upon. And I love hearing people's personal stories and how they integrate their personal lives with their business lives and do it well. I mean, the reason that I wanted to start talking more about blending of personal and business lives is that I think we get to have both. Like, I really feel we should be able to be passionate in our work and still have great personal relationships. And at times we need to treat um, the people that are close to us in our personal lives with the same respect that we give our colleagues and the same kindness at times that we, do or provide amongst our colleagues. I think there's many times that we come home from work and feel like we can just dump whatever, mood that we're um, in front of our partners or our children and just expect them to understand and deal with it. Well, that's not right. And we need to respect the people around us, no matter where we are in the workplace or at home. And the whole idea for me is to be genuine throughout, not to be a different person at work than you are at home and vice versa. So today I want to speak about a topic that I'm passionate about and to me is you know, really, I guess, the foundation of happiness in many ways, or achieving your desires or the goals that you have in life. And this is all about self-awareness. So, you know, hmm, despite what we want to believe, I think, the truth is your inner world is displayed to the outer world. In other words, how you think and your self concept, how you think about yourself is what's displayed to the rest of the world. And you know, we can't run away from that. Like we can't separate our perception of ourselves from others. We like to try to. We like to think that um we can, but we can't. Not and only because of our subconscious. It's it's playing in the background no matter whether we like it or not. Like a great personal example I have of this is, recently at the lake, I wanted to go for a paddleboard ride, and it was just my husband and I. And I said to him, here's my phone. Just take a video of me on the paddleboard. And it's just a nice memory for me, because rarely do I have many pictures of myself or I mean, you might even see that in my social media. I don't tend to do a whole lot of selfies or whatever it is. But so he does it and it was really interesting because when I looked at it, I mean, I just burst out laughing. And it wasn't because anything was inherently funny about the video, but yeah, so he asked, what's so funny? And I said, "Oh my goodness. Like it's funny because I have this idea of myself standing, strong and erect and powerful, um, doing perfectly synchronized strokes in the water and yeah, my head up, my chin up. And in reality, it wasn't like that. It was more of me kind of hunched over, taking small strokes and like kind of very cautiously, even though the water was completely calm. And my point is like even though I wanted to believe I'm this very confident paddleboard person, strong and erect in my posture. In reality, I'm not. So the belief about myself, the deep inherent belief about myself on that paddleboard was, oh my goodness, I could fall. I must be very, very careful. Even though, like I said, the water was beautiful. It was calm, it was fine. So there's some timidness inside myself, some resistance about yeah, being able to like take strong long strokes and look ahead rather than look down. Um, it's sort of like you can't hide that stuff. Like you can't. You like if someone says, "Oh, are you confident paddleboarder?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm fine." What do you think about your posture? Oh, my posture's great. I always walk around with my my shoulders back and my chin up, and um, and it's just sort of like, well, no, actually, you don't, and you might fight that and kind of go, well, yes, but deep, deep, deep down inside of your subconscious or your concept of self, you may not believe that. And it's really hard to, understand that because, like, you think you are a certain way, but really you're not. And, but it doesn't really matter. What matters more is kind of coming to first of all, defining what's important to you. And like my goal in life is not to become, a powerful, erect, I don't know, super, super confident, skilled paddleboarder. It's not, you know. But if it was, this is what you need to do. You need to really bring that perception or assumption or belief of you being that into your consciousness and do it consistently. So, what could that look like? It could look like, okay, going on the paddleboard every single day and making sure you're filmed throughout it, you know, just like a coach would with a person trying to get better in a certain skill, right? To have someone else's eyes on you, um, to remind you of what the actual, like what reality is. So, um, and another important piece is to feel how natural it is during the process and actually even entering the process. Like, for example, if you, and this is sort of the power of awareness, this is sort of the law of assumption. If you're going to practice actualizing this new person that you are, you have to do it within your mind as well as in the acting out of it, I guess you could say. So it's having the vision of yourself, being that person before actually being that person. And you see why we're doing this, right? It's sort of, as I said to you, your subconscious or your self-concept plays out in the real world whether you want it or not. So there's certain things about yourself that you believe and naturally exude in yourself. So what would be a common example of that? Okay, let's say you're a comedian and you believe you're funny. You have this inherent belief, a strong belief that you're a funny person. Therefore, you are a funny person. You make a lot of people laugh. And it's very natural part of you. It was always a part of you. If anybody came up to you and said, you're not that person, you would be, you know, not willing to accept that statement because you've proven over and over and over again, you are that person. You have the evidence. You don't need faith without evidence. You already have the evidence. So you completely ban that thought from your mind. And therefore, you're able to continue to be funny over and over and over again. It's a very deep, intrinsic belief that you have about yourself. You're aware of it, and therefore you are it. So when I said to you before that I want you to now imagine yourself as that paddleboarder, it's because you have to bring it, you have to start deeply experiencing that concept of yourself. And in order to do that, you need to start feeling that concept of yourself. You need to bring the feeling into it before you actually have that reality in front of you. Why? Because emotion always wins over logic. Okay? Think of it. Um, we do some really stupid things sometimes because our emotions get the best of us. Past arguments that we've had, with people that we really love, where we say really stupid things, things that we really regret, um, or purchasing that, um, I don't know, purchasing that car, purchasing that program, purchasing that chocolate bar. In the moment, it seemed amazing, the best thing ever for me, when in reality, it was not. You know, um, Emotion always wins over logic. So that's why the feeling of, and this is the work of Neville Goddard, like the power or the law of assumption, or it's the same sort of thing that I'm talking about that you've heard maybe if you followed Bob Proctor or, read The Secret. I've never read the book myself. I've never even seen the movie, but I've read other, literature surrounding that same sort of, this whole idea of manifesting. But I'm almost scared to use the word manifesting because I think it has a little bit of it can have a negative connotation. I mean, some people really believe in manifesting. And I mean, I do too, but I don't I don't describe it as manifesting so much as I do just like the power of the mind. Like, I mean, this is the mind. This is the power of the mind. It's sort of, you have to become it in order to be it. You have to feel it in order to be it. And I mean, I love this because it's like there's no shortcut. There's no getting around it sort of thing. It's like you can't skip anything. Like, you have to be it. You have to feel it in order to be it. And I think it's extremely powerful. It's not easy to do, but I truly believe in it. So, this whole idea of being aware of your behavior or aware of your beliefs, your deep ingrained beliefs, is very important. And a lot of people are not aware of what their deeper beliefs are. And therefore, they're confused why they're very stuck in life. It's sort of like they have this inherent belief, and they they don't want to look at it. They don't want to expose it. They want to just pretend that it's not there, I guess. And yet their reality every single day shows very differently. And they genuinely are stuck. Like they don't understand why their reality is this way. They don't want it this way, but it is this way. And the reason it is this way is that you have a certain belief of who you are. Um, I like to think sometimes as there if there were a film crew following you all day long and filming you, I think you would be shocked. I think you would be shocked in many ways, just like I was shocked and I burst out laughing when I saw that video of myself on the paddleboard. It's not what I had envisioned at all. You might think, oh, I'm a patient person. Oh, I mean, you have all these lovely thoughts about yourself, right? Um, oh, I'm not that way. I'm very patient, or I'm very, I'm very kind. I'm very friendly. And yet, like, if you had someone filming you, it might be filming you in a grocery store line, or a line up at the till, right? Like you're kind of pacing, you got this sort of stern look on your face. I mean, finally you get to um the cashier, and you like to think that you have this like benevolent, wonderful look on your face when you reach them. And you know I don't know, everything from your body language to your yeah, the tone of your voice, the speed of your voice, it's sort of like it's all very clear. And that's why, if we're having arguments with our partners, it's sort of like, well, no, I didn't, you know, I didn't say that. It's like you are completely clueless. And it's not, in that sense, always of your fault. Um, because you really don't believe you're that person. So that's why I always want to bring curiosity into, discussions with not only my clients, um, how do you think it it looked like, or to my partner, how do you feel it played out? Because chances are what you think is not often reality. And I have to kind of laugh sometimes when, I have two people in front of me in the room, and it's a couple. And I feel like men often, and this is always, I always have to be very careful, generalized sort of statement here, but men are very simple in many ways, and they they want to just have a playbook in front of them. They just like, just tell me what to do in order to make this relationship better, and I will do my best to do it. Um, Whereas a woman is like looking at them and going, oh, like, do you really need, like, you know, a game plan sort of thing? Do you like, can you not use your intuition? Can you not read my body language? Can you not use more attunement, empathy? Um, can you not tap into my feelings? Can you not um yeah, like emotionally connect with me? through the ethers, like read my mind, like, what is wrong with you sort of thing. How long have we been married? And you don't know me yet, and blah, blah, blah. And they're just like with the deer in headlights, kind of going, I, I guess not. It's sort of like they just they crave the black and white. They crave the um line by line sort of thing. And they literally want to take notes and just say, okay, the next time we're on this topic, these are the things I need to follow. Um, and they know if they do that, it will go a lot better, sort of thing. And bless their souls, bless, like, I mean, that's great. I think sometimes we need to follow a formula. I mean, everyone's different, but like if that's what they want and it's going to bring peace, then great. Like, why do we have to fault them for that? And the same thing goes for women, right? Like men, I mean, despite you might think, oh my God, like, she complains and just like nags, and she's so dramatic. And why does it always have to be so deep? Like, why does every conversation have to be so deep? I mean, I had to laugh at my son the other day. You know, he's young 20s, and so is my daughter or whatever. And um she mentioned that, she had seen her therapist, and he's like, "You go for therapy?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Ugh, all these girls nowadays, everybody sees a therapist. Like, he's just like, what is going on? Why do we?" And, it's just sort of like my son's attitude is like, just deal with it. Just like, why do you have to sit in front of somebody and just complain and whine? And, it's like, anyway, I think it's so interesting. And they're both doing well in their own little ways, right? So to each their own. I mean, if you want therapy, go for therapy. Like, if you don't want therapy, well, I mean, as long as you're behaving in an acceptable way to humanity, great. But if you're not, um, and people are telling you so, then maybe, as I'm talking about right now, like, actually look at yourself, look at yourself in the mirror, and it's sort of like, I don't know, like, I seem to be the common denominator in many of these situations that I'm running into, whether that's at work or in your personal life. Like, there must be something about me that I'm not seeing, and I need help in becoming more self-aware. If it's true what Luella is telling me, if my perception, if my assumption of what I desire is not in alignment with what my reality is, then I'm not doing something very well. I'm not practicing the art of, visualization or feeling in a way that I actually want, and then being, dedicated to that. Like, not trying something for 2 or 3 days, and when it's not going well, or you don't have your reality that you wish for in front of you, just to say, well, I tried it and it's not working. Like, you can't give up on things like this. If it's that important for you, then you have to become dedicated to it, just like anything else in life. I mean, that's why we say, like, I mean, it's sort of like, don't complain about something if you are not spending enough time on it. Don't complain about being poor with your finances if you if you're not looking at them? Like, don't complain about, I don't know, um, being not at a weight that you would like to be, or being in a certain physical condition that you would like to be. Like, don't complain about not increasing your muscle strength if you do nothing to do that, right? Don't complain about um, a really tight muscle or tendon um, when you haven't done any of the exercises that your physical therapist has given you. Like, things don't, like, in that sense, miracles don't happen. Miracles happen because of your belief and your faith and your trust, trust in yourself, trust in others. It's, and it relates to like so many things. Like, you know, if you believe, well, that's something for that person, but it's just not something for me. Or if your belief is, well, the only way you're going to really increase your wealth is through buying real estate. The only way you're really going to increase your wealth is by investing in the stock market and not touching, that nest egg for 20 years. The only way that you're going to build wealth is by, um, becoming an angel investor and investing in startup companies. And, the only way you're going to build your wealth is to climb the corporate ladder and um, put your head down and work really, really hard, and at the same time save and save and save. All of these ways are the truth. They're all the truth. It just, the only thing that changes is how you presume, you're going to attain your wealth. And what you assume to be reality becomes reality. But you got to do the work. You got to be consistent. You got to be dedicated. You got to be responsible for doing the things that you're saying that are important to you, and not just, living on hope alone, right? You can't give up on yourself. You can't just take the back seat and, um, just say it is what it is. That's giving up. To me, that's death. It's sort of, you have this potential within you. You have the ability to feel into the future. You have the ability to use your imagination every single day. This is a gift from God, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, the ability to imagine. The All of these are graces that you've been given. And so why aren't you using it? I mean, when you think of it, a child is slowly, I feel, robbed of their imagination with every single day that goes by. And in that way, I think it's so sad, but we can change it. We can still exercise our imagination if we want to, if we feel it's important to us to practice using our imagination. And when I say, you know, children are robbed of it, it's because we're born with this ability to imagine everything and anything. We're not, we like the hard drive, there's no programs downloaded at that point within us. It's a completely blank, empty hard drive. And we have the ability to, accept any program that we're willing to accept. And I mean, these programs are downloaded throughout, our youth by culture, by our parents, by the words we hear around us and the images that we see. That's basically what it comes down to. So, as a young adult, you have this program now that's running in the background, just like your computer is. It's like you have all these apps, you have all these applications on your computer that are just running in the background, unbeknownst to you, really. And they just show up. It just sort of, your computer runs, it just runs. And it's runs because of, whatever code that has been programmed into it. That's essentially what it is. And in order to change the way the computer runs, you need to alter the code. So you do need to become aware of the code. Otherwise, you can't change how the machine runs. So we're no different. If any of you are parents, just think about it. Think back to, that little 1-year-old child or the 2-year-old child that you remember. And it's just sort of, they are in awe. I mean, I've spoken about this before, but it's so beautiful to see, because you can basically tell them anything and they are going to believe you. Um, and that's why, I mean, they say children are so vulnerable, and so innocent and vulnerable. Um, and we need to protect our children because of that. But it's so fun, to be a part of their world, to take part in their imagination. And I mean, I just love it. I mean, before becoming um a therapist, I was a speech language pathologist, and I did, for a small amount of time, work with little children, and just being in play with the children, on the floor, and my own children as well, of course. But like, I just seeing how all the dots are connecting in their little minds, right? And the things that they come up with, and it's so fun. It's so fun to be in their imaginary world. um yeah, I mean, I always, like, I'll just share one little thing. I was working with a autistic child at one point, and this is why I feel the whole spectrum of, you know being neurodivergent, for example, is I mean, I think it's so neat. I think uh that's I mean, all we have to look at is Elon Musk, for example. I mean, e- I could, that's all his imagination, his power to assume what he is feeling naturally to become reality. I think he's a great example of that. But yeah, I go back to, there was a time where this little guy was sitting in his little chair at our little table, and the chair was he was kind of rocking back and forth on his chair, and I was like, oh, like, I thought that chair is a little wobbly, and I just said to him, oh, that chair is rocky. And he looks down at the chair and he goes, hi, Rocky. And I was just like, so cute. It's sort of like, it's just so cute. And he, in his mind, that chair had a name. I called it Rocky, you know? Um, and it shows me how it's all a shared consciousness. The universal, it's a universal consciousness. I mean, um, none of us would call a chair by a name, but this this object in front of me right here is, I call it a cup. That's its name, you know. But if I didn't have language, I mean, we would all sort of, it's all the same conscious awareness, of just existing. I'm existing, this cup is existing. Um, we're all as one, and therefore we should never feel lonely. We're all sharing together this consciousness. So I guess that's sort of a good way of um, summing it up in a way, is that what is now subconscious, we need to bring into the conscious mind. We need to be aware of our behaviors, our thoughts. Our thoughts turn into our behaviors, So the whole idea of being alone with your thoughts, just being alone, being in solitude, is the only time that I think you can really start to realize what your thoughts are. And this is why, I mean, I also very, very much love journaling, because it's a wonderful way of, I would say, detangling the thoughts from our minds and have it, put down on paper. Because sometimes, I mean, thoughts are kind of like a subway station. They're in and out, all these thoughts. And so it's really good to detangle them down on paper, um, to see how our lives are playing out and what we actually believe. Like, what is that program? Um, I must believe this is true because this is what my reality is. So, in order to change my reality, I, quote unquote, simply need to change my belief, but I don't know what my belief inherently is. I mean, that's where you need to do the work. And that's something that I love to help people with, is to gain more self-awareness. So I'll just say right now here too that I created a journal and I created a planner that I will make available if you're interested. But yeah, the planner is sort of works on the accountability piece. It works on like intention. What is my goal? And if this is my goal, like I was saying to you before on the paddleboard, if my goal is to become erect, um, in my posture, in my belief about what kind of paddleboarder I am, um, this new concept of myself, because again, I like to think I had a great concept of myself, but my behavior showed me differently. Therefore, I need to work on that concept of self. So if that's my goal, what action steps do I need to do daily in order to attain that goal? So it's very important to plan your this goal out and to, I say, pick an end date so that it gives you a little bit of a, motivation and drive to do that. I mean, if you say, well, yeah, maybe by the summer of 2027, I'll have that nailed down. I mean, how, like that's way too far out, right? So anyway, that's what the planner for is for. The journal, again, is to take time for gratitude, which is so important because let's be honest. We have these, you know, I think we all have goals in life, and um we don't know when we're actually going to get there. But that time is almost like none of our business. The only business that we have is to do the work and to use trust and faith in ourselves, in others, but mainly in ourselves to attain that goal. So always being in gratitude is so important because despite not having our wish fulfilled yet, I am complete, in gratitude for what I have in front of me right now and the basic things I'm talking about. So that's super important to put yourself in that state every single day. And then, being intentional about how I'm, going about my day, whether that's directly related to the goals that I have or just in order to be a better person, a better partner, a better business person, whatever that might be, um, a kinder person, like pick whatever intention you have so that you're not just like a leaf in the wind, going here, going there, going everywhere during the day, too busy doing rather than being. And the other part of the journal for me is prayer, just connecting with God every single day, praying for myself, praying for others. I think it's important every single day. That's me, might not be you, and that's fine. Yeah, and just any other sort of daily reflection, I think is super important. So I hope that helps. I hope you're as passionate about this topic of self-awareness as I am. I hope I gave you enough food for thought, you could say, examples that might help you. But you know what? If you want to start very basic, start by maybe even asking your partner, someone who's with you every single day or a family member, you know what? Pick one of my most annoying traits that, you feel I do, you know, and on a scale of 1 to 6, um, rate that most annoying trait that I'm not aware of and should be more aware of. Put it on a scale of 1 to 6. And don't be defensive when they tell you what that is. It is what it is, especially if everybody else kind of also agrees with that. Um, whether that's you always speak out of turn or you're extremely defensive. And let's hope that they don't say always and extremely, because I don't think that's always true. But whatever. You micromanage, you tend to jump to conclusions, whatever that is, and then just accepting it and saying, thank you for pointing that out. It's something I really would like to work on it. Can you be my accountability partner? And can you help me? Can you support me in changing this behavior? Because it's not a very favorable behavior. And then see what happens. Say, okay, give me the next 4 weeks to work on this. Give me grace when grace is needed, because remember, if it's not a favorable trait and you haven't already changed it, it must be pretty darn deep in your subconscious. So it's not going to happen overnight. All right, then. Have a great day, and I will see you here next week. Bye-bye. Thanks for tuning in to this episode. Remember that you can watch the full episode on YouTube, where I plan to hang out the most. Your feedback and suggestions for future guests are incredibly valuable to me, so please don't hesitate to post a comment. You are an integral part of this journey.